Hello, my name is Bill Keogh. I'm the operations manager here at Arborjet, and I'm going to walk you through taking apart the AccuFlo ISD housing so you can access the valve and cylinder components within the device. Okay, so I would like to start out by telling you about the tools you're going to need. You'll need two 7/16 wrenches. It helps if you can have one be a ratchet or a socket, but two of these would work fine also. You also need a 5/32 Allen wrench to remove the housing handle. So the first thing we're going to do is flip this over. We have three nuts here with lock nuts, which correspond to the heads of the bolts on here. So we're going to need to hold on to one bolt here while we're unratcheting the nut on this side. So I'm going to put my wrench in here, hold that in place, and then unscrew this. It's important that when you're doing this, you do it really gently. If you find that it's fighting you too much, it could mean that it's cross-threaded, and so your best option there is just to back it off or tighten it a little bit to get it back on the threads, but most importantly you just want to avoid cross-threading those. Get the other bolt here. And the last one. Here. Next we want to take these bolts off. We actually only need to take one off to make it easier. So usually what I like to do is just kind of feel them out to see which one can easily be turned, and that's the one to go for. So this one, on the reverse side of this 3D printed handle, there's actually a hex pattern which holds it in place, so that's why you don't need a second wrench to get that unscrewed. So we're just going to go ahead and loosen this off. Again, this is a 5/32 Allen. This comes off. There's going to be a nut inside here which may fall out, but we can just swivel this off. Can loosen this one a bit too. Sometimes you can do it with just one, but take both off for now. And now this is flexible, so you can just kind of pop that off here. Pop these off. And now you can have access to the rest of it. You'll see inside here, we have our nuts and bolts. There's a couple little rubber pads here, which hold it in place against these U-bolts here. It keeps everything nice and snug. So now you can kind of see how this is all tied together. This is another 3D printed part here. This is our valve spacer. So what it does is it conforms to the T-handle and holds the valve in place. So these bolts won't actually slide out. They might come loose a little bit, but you won't be able to pull them out all the way with the cylinder still here. So most importantly, getting the shroud off, or the housing as it's also called, will help get you access to the valve assembly here. So if you have a leak in your tubing, or maybe in the connections with these push-to-connects here, you can easily get access to these and tighten these up if you need to, or remove the tubing and replace it if you have to. You just push on the retaining ring on the push-to-connect here, and that slides right in. You have two 1/4-inch tubes here. These are both power the cylinder, and then these here, you have one which is the injection line that comes out the bottom of the tube. You have one which is your supply line that has the brass fitting that connects to the flow zone backpack, and then you have your drain line, which is the really long one. This one connects to the backpack via a quick disconnect. So these are the three different tube lengths. This is our valve assembly, so you can get access to the valve if anything here needs to be replaced, and our cylinder assembly right here. So everything is off here. You've done whatever you need to do to replace or rebuild or tighten the inside of the assembly. So next we're going to put it back on. So like I mentioned earlier, there's hexes in the back of the housing handle, so this is a better shot of how you can see that. So this holds those nuts in place while the screws go from the back side, and that's what secures the housing handle together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to position the housing body underneath the cylinder, lining up these orange pads with the U-bolts on the side here so it stays nice and snug. It's also a good idea just to make sure that your lining on the outside of your housing is firm and nice in place. So slide this on here. This can be a little bit tricky, but you just got to spread it out a little bit. Okay, I got that lined up now. And what you want to do is with your finger on the other side, hold the bolt head in place. Slide this one over the top here. And again, hold those bolts in place, slide these over. And we get our lock washers. Keep holding that in place, our lock nuts. And I would just finger tighten these to start until you get the housing handle put on. And again, when you're screwing these on, again, you want to make sure that you're not cross-threading. So these nuts will sometimes stick in place just by friction, but occasionally they may slip out, so it's a good idea to hold these with your fingers when you're putting it in. So I'm holding it like this, and then I'm going to slide this right into the gap in here. Line up the holes. Okay. Okay, that's nice and tight. Tighten this. Okay, that's tight. And now we can finish these three here the same way we did them the first time, just in reverse. Find the head on this side. Tighten this down. Okay. You want to tighten these similar to how you tighten lug nuts on a car. You don't want to over tighten one of them too much before moving to the next one. You just want to get them in place. And then you can go back and progressively tighten each one a little bit more. And that's how you reassemble the AccuFlo ISD housing. So this concludes the overview of how you disassemble and then reassemble the AccuFlo ISD. For more information, you can visit our YouTube site for tips and tricks. That's Arborjet at YouTube. And you can also visit our website, arborjet.com, for more information and to register your equipment online.